What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I am your host, Mangone. I am here with Hoop. I am here with JT. I'm also here with some freeloaders that did not hit the like button yesterday. So let's hit that like button, the 2 thumbs up, as JJ always says on the bet side. Let's get those likes in now. Subscribe to the channel. Check out all of our content. So that way we can get those plays of the day out because it's a Friday. We got the good mojo flowing and we're here with Hoop and we're here with JT Hayes. JT, I don't know if you heard, plays of the days were not given out yesterday. And we want to get those likes up quick. So how is your Friday going? How is Winnie doing? And are we going to get those likes up today?
Well, my Friday is going great. It's Friday. It's close to happy hour. We've got a beautiful slate. Winnie is behind me. Winnie was sipping on a little cognac earlier. I had to take it away because that's illegal in certain states to feed underage bears. But listen, I heard about that yesterday. I happened to be in Discord. I saw that the plays of the day came in Discord. Very tasty. Members were very happy at the end of the night. And so we're going to come back, though. We're going to get away from the bad mojo, the bad feelings of yesterday. It's 4:47 right now. We're just a few minutes into this. We get to 100 likes by 5 o'clock. Otherwise, we have to start at -50. So got to get to 100 likes by 5 o'clock. We're only like 23 away, so let's get there. And then you know what it is. You guys know what it is. Hoop, Sweet Travis. It's Friday. Friday, there's a lot of info. There's a lot of news. Not so much today, but give it up for our guy. He's going to start making even more charts now. He's just dabbling right now. You know what that means. Give it up for our guy, Glaucoma, the pleasantness of Glaucoma. Hit him up in the Discord right now at Glaucoma. Thank you for everything you fucking do. DM him and put in the Discord your favorite face exchange of him. He has the most malleable face. He just could be anybody. So hit him up, Glaucoma. It's Friday. We're going hard today. It's going to be great. Get those likes up because I don't want to start at -50.
Yep. Get those likes up. And hey, if you got him yesterday and you were in the Discord chat, you got the plays of the day. I know mine was Chris Paul. That went pretty well. I Hoop had Klay Thompson. Klay wasn't bad. I just looked up the stat line because I couldn't remember. 17, 5, and 7. That's pretty good for Klay. Got the job done at the price. And AP, you know, we talked about it yesterday. Said it was a clear-cut day. Just play Luka, right? And sure, Luka was higher owned, but you needed Luka to win yesterday. You needed to have that play of the day. So hit the likes. Make sure we get those done. Hoop, why don't you tell us you got a favorite moment of Glock? You know, we're obviously talking about how great Glock is. Add him in the chat. He's dabbling in the charts as well. So what's some thoughts on Glock and some thoughts on this slate here, Hoop?
Glock's just the man. I mean, I knew it right from the beginning. I mean, it was love at first sight. I met Glock in Denver at the baseball championship this summer. He's like, man, I love what you guys are doing at Run Pure Sports. He's like, I want to be a part of it. How can I contribute? He's like, hey, come in for NBA season. You know NBA, you're great. We'll bring you on board. Just blowing away the expectations. Glock's a man, and like JT said, hit him up in the Discord for the charts or whatever you're looking for. Just absolute hero. Love Glock. We got 7 NBA games tonight. Got some news. I mean, I haven't really dug too deep into it, so I'm kind of excited to walk through it with you guys here on Friday. It's Friday, like JT said. I mean, the momentum on the show is growing. Always great mojo here. We're going to provide the winners. Get into the winner circle for the weekend here, and then kick it off with some big Super Bowl winners as well.
Yeah, speaking of the Super Bowl, so Hoop, you're still on the Rams. Are you holding strong with me? Rams are going to win the whole thing?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely on the Rams. I mean, I think they win this game. The more, I mean, we did, me and BigT recorded the Showdown show. If you're not a member, SB56, you can become a member, 56% off. Me and BigT recorded that premium show prior to this with Holden. And the more we talked about it on there, I'm not going to give away the Showdown winners, but the more we talked about it on there, I feel good about the Rams winning this game.
Yep. And here's the schedule we have for the week. So we already did a show, me, Hoop, and Title. We talked the First Look show on the YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out. Wednesday, we had the Pick and Winner show with me, Keg, and Holden. That's on the YouTube channel. Snyder's article's out. We had the Print Factory last night. That should be up there on the premium side with JSU, BigT, Dunkel, ODB. Then you got the Showdown playbook with Rubio, already up. Then you got the Morning Wood show. That was today, recorded. We'll be up there soon if it's not already up. Obviously, you're getting the NBA winners now. So by the time, you know, it'll be up there if it's not by now. You'll be able to get that tonight. Listen to the Wood show. I'll definitely be listening to that. And you get the plan of attack from Tambo. And there's a 3-max strategy from one of the guys that's on our team. And then after that, we also got the Saturday Off the Chalk show. And then we got the core plays. So JT, you will be on the Off the Chalk show. So sell me. Why should I come hang out on Saturday night at 8 o'clock on the premium show to listen to the Off the Chalk show?
We're going to have the news. We're going to have some news. Some news already came in. Tyler Higbee placed on injured reserve. The whole world is on the Rams. We recorded our last old guy pod last night. And as we went through it, I said, you know what? I'm going to be contrarian. Give me the Bengals. They've had a tougher path to get to this point, and we'll see what happens. I still think the Rams are the better constructed team, but just something to make it a little bit more interesting. And we're going to go through the plays. We're going to go through Showdown. We're going to go through maybe some of the lower owned plays on the slate. It's going to be tough with 450,000 entries to get really, really different if you're playing in that big one. But Draft Cheat's going to join us on that tomorrow as well, from what I understand. So it'll be me, Tambo, AP, and DC. So maybe a little bit of, extra entertainment that DC always brings to the table. It's going to be about a half hour. Have a couple of beers before you take the wife out to dinner or dancing, whatever the kids do on Saturday nights. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, maybe you're going stargazing with the telescope. Who knows? But be sure to check it out. Should be a fun time. And the likes, we're doing great so far. We're at 118. You love to see that. We don't have to go to the negative 50 to start off the show, JT, right? That was the 5 o'clock deadline. We're already way ahead of schedule. So those are the things that you absolutely love to see. And JT, before we kind of dive in, any thoughts on the trades? We didn't get your takes on that. Who's your team in the East now? What's your thoughts on the trade deadline news that we just saw yesterday?
Yeah. The Sixers Nets trade is pretty amazing. I mean, when James Harden decides that he's unhappy, he's got to move on, right? It's kind of concerning, I guess, that Ben Simmons hasn't played basketball in quite some time. They say he's been working out. We'll see what happens there. The rest of the Nets team is kind of dreadful, as we saw last night, losing to the Wizards. Philly, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, Embiid having a great season. Harden hasn't won anywhere, so is he now all of a sudden going to be the guy that brings the Sixers over the finish line? I don't know. Similarly, I have no idea what Sacramento is doing. I have no idea what the Kings organization long-term game plan is. I'm a huge fan of Tyrese Halliburton, and I think that trade is going to work out similar to the Nets trade of Jarrett Allen, where all of a sudden I think Jarrett Allen, who is another guy I'm a fan of, has a chance to be very, very good for a long time. So outside of that, I think a lot of these were just salary dumps, some minimal impacts along the way. Looks like Goran Dragic has been working out in Miami, so you add another guard to Miami. But should be an interesting second half of the season for sure.
I mean, you forgot to mention your boy, Tony Snell. I mean, on the Pelicans. I mean, that's a huge signing for you, huge trade, JT.
Well, listen, the Pelicans weren't making that move if Tony wasn't included. That is comes from a very well-placed source. They like CJ McCollum. They think he's a nice player, but they know that what Tony does in spacing, in decoy, all the things that he brings to the locker room, that's the guy they needed.
Yep, definitely a reason to keep Zion there. But let's move on. Don't got too much else to say. One last thing actually we will bring up is there's an MMA show tomorrow, right? It's on the YouTube channel. You love MMA. I'm not as big into the MMA streets as you are, Hoop, but I mean, sell me on this. MMA, why should they watch the show tomorrow? Why should they subscribe to the channel to get notified to watch the big card?
Yeah, massive pay-per-view card tomorrow. They're recording that tonight, right? Sorry, my ear pods cut out. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing the drinking game for the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood show, take a drink. AirPods aren't working.
Yeah. I mean, they're recording it tonight. I think Title and DC and CAG will be on their massive card. I mean, UFC 271, massive contest on DraftKings. And I mean, these guys break it down great. I mean, Title does a great job with the playbook. That's premium, but the show tonight will be free, and they'll be breaking down the entire card. I think 14 fights. So you definitely want to watch that before building teams. 6 p.m. Eastern start, I believe, tomorrow.
Yep, definitely be sure to check that out. It's going to be a great time, but we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about these NBA games. It's definitely going to be an awesome card tonight. I'm excited to watch these games. Let's dive in and let's talk about the first one. We got the Oklahoma City Thunder. We have the Philadelphia 76ers, 207 total here. Hoop, I'll go to you first. James Harden, they're in Philly tonight. It's a Friday night, so you know what he's doing. He's hitting the club. Not going to be participating in this game, it looks like, but we got some questionable news here that definitely matters. Maxey, questionable. Shake Milton, questionable. Break that down for me, Hoop. How are you handling this game with the news? And also, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is not really a team that we typically love to target. And, they're not like completely shorthanded. Yes, they're missing SGA, but I don't think I really want to mess with these guys on this slate, even though the value so far is not that great.
Yeah, one of my favorite little GIFs or videos or GIFs or whatever the hell they are is all the strippers getting in cars and going to Philadelphia to, with the James Harden trade.
Did you see what the one of the strip clubs did? They said, we'll welcome you with open arms and legs. And I was
yeah, it's probably very true. The ladies of Philadelphia are definitely rejoicing after that trade. In terms of DFS here, on the 76ers side, we need that news. If Maxey is out and Milton's in, Milton's a great play, 4.2K. If they're both out, then we could start to look to guys potentially like Tobias Harris. Obviously, Embiid is a fine play regardless of the status of Maxey and Milton. But if they're both out, he can get a little boost too. Really need the news here. Cork Moss potentially in play too. 7 p.m. Eastern game. We'll get the news, so we'll know who's in and out and who the plays are. On the Thunder side, tough spot here, obviously, in Philadelphia, one of the better teams in basketball. They're only projected to score about 98 points. The one guy I do have interest in on the Thunder side is Poku. 3.5K coming off a big game. He played 30 minutes in that game, 38 fantasy points. If this kid gets minutes, he produces. He's only 3.5K. Opens up a lot for lineups tonight. So I have interest in him. I think he's a strong value option. I'm not really going to mess with anything else on the Thunder side. But yeah, 76ers, we need the news. We'll get the news because this is a 7 p.m. Eastern game. But we could go from, a bunch of fringe plays here to some really solid plays depending on the status of Maxey and Milton.
Yep, the Maxey and Milton status definitely matters. JT, break this one down for me because this is a game. I mean, if you look at this slate, starts at 7, and there's 2 other games that are going to start at 7 that we're going to talk about. But I think this is one I can kind of stay away from. And like even Embiid, I just don't need to go to. I guess you could make an argument if Maxey and Milton don't play, Korkmaz could be a really good option at 3.8K. But I do kind of need the news to make some decisions on this spot. How are you handling this news here in the first game?
I like Embiid a little bit here. This is probably the most important news of the night because if Maxey's in, then I think you can maybe more comfortably fade Embiid in this spot. But I think if he's out, if Milton's out, it becomes a tougher situation. You do have no Drummond there, so there might be some opportunities there for some of these other guys as well. The one thing that concerns me about Poku, because I looked at that as well, is it looks like Isaiah Roby is available to play this evening, and that's always been a very difficult rotation to pin down there. So Embiid for me, and wait on the news. I won't be overweight or anything on Embiid. I'll be right in line with the field, maybe a little bit higher and 15%. And then the other thing, look, it started off well, but you guys aren't giving Glaucoma the love he needs, the love he deserves. It's got to be, you got to be hitting him up in the Discord. I want to see more of this. It's just a couple of guys. Let's thank him for everything he does. Let's start doing that now. And the likes started off strong. We're at 151. I mean, let's get that up to 200 by 510, and then we'll come up with a final number.
Yeah, the Maxey news matters a ton. Also, yeah, give Glock all the love. Tell him what you love that he does here. And also, don't miss out on his playbook tomorrow. He is doing the Saturday NBA playbook, and you're going to need that if you want to get those winners. So be sure to check that out. Don't got too much else to say about this game, though. Not that important. I think that, yeah, the news is going to matter. Then we'll kind of make decisions. We'll be in the Discord chat breaking all that down. But we got to go to the Charlotte Hornets. We got to go to the Detroit Pistons. And this is a game where the Charlotte Hornets, they're shorthanded. It's just simple. There's some opportunity here for these guys. And then on top of it, we got the Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham. I don't think they're going to rush him back. Now, can we get some exposure to these guys? We talked about it yesterday on the show, Hoop. We talked about FanDuel. Cheap prices over there on those guys. There's still not bad price tags on some of these options. You can make an argument that Jeremy Grant at 6K against the Hornets that are bad against big men. So like more of the small ball lineups. I do think a Jeremy Grant can get the job done here. So what are you doing here with the Detroit Pistons and the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, I got some plays here. I mean, it sounds like Harrell is going to be available for the Hornets tonight, but I still have interest like in the guards on the Hornets side. I still like LaMelo at his price tag, 8K or 9K, and then Terry Rozier at 7.3, I think is a pretty strong option. And Kelly Oubre, as long as he continues to start, which I think would be the case, it's always a pretty solid, safe option when he starts. Played 36 minutes last game, 38 the night before. I think we see similar playing time for him. He's under 6K. Have interest in all three of those guys. Then on the Pistons side, Jeremy Grant, like you said, yeah, I think he's in play at 6K on DraftKings. Probably going to play about 30 minutes. That's all he needs here. Like you said, this team struggles against opposing bigs. Harrell, adding as the addition to the Hornets is not going to make them a stronger defensive team against opposing bigs. So I like Grant at 6K. If Cade's out, maybe a little bit of Sadiq Bey, maybe some Kelly Olynyk, but probably need Cade out to really play those guys. This is 7 p.m. Eastern game. We'll get the news. So like LaMelo, Rozier, Oubre on the Hornet side, Jeremy Grant for sure, regardless of Cade's status. But if Cade's out, then it would bring guys like Sadiq Bey and Kelly Olynyk into play for me a little bit.
JT, let me get your thoughts on this situation, because obviously, Charlotte made a trade. So, we don't know what's going to happen with Harrell here. How many minutes could he play? The situation's just going to change. So it's one of those spots where we got to wait and see what's going to happen. We need Glock to get on those charts. Maybe Glock actually has charts ahead of time. He was maybe at the practice, because Glock, I think he's really up to date on these things, unlike some other guys here at Run Pure Sports. So what's your thoughts, though, JT, on this Charlotte and Detroit Pistons game here?
Yeah, from what I understand, he's got closed circuit TV into the practices. He can see the arenas. It's a fantastic thing. Thank you once again, everything you do. Interesting situation, because you've got a Detroit team that gives up just an absolute ton of points, ton of fantasy points. Same thing on the other side, a quicker pace. It's just one of those days where you look at the Pistons rotations and you get almost sick to your stomach of how good this game could be, but it's not really going to be. So, but I do like, as Hoop said, the Charlotte side, and then Grant is just completely underpriced on DraftKings at 6K. Frank Jackson came in. He got to 20 fantasy points. Shot was off. He's still just 3,400. If Cade is out, he is going to get, 20, 25 minutes here. And on a slate where we really don't have a ton of value, at least as of right now, I think there could be, Jackson could be a decent source of value on DraftKings.
Yeah, Jackson can definitely be in play here, but we got to talk about this next game. This is the game to talk about here. And the reason I want to talk about this one is we got the old revenge spot. And Hoop, this is like the first blood type revenge spot, right? I mean, this is a spot where how do you not play Karis LeVert? Darius Garland is happened to be sitting for this game. I mean, Karis LeVert just seems like the lock of all locks today. I love him here in this spot against the Pacers. And then you got Halliburton on the other side. Hoop, it's not just Karis LeVert going up against the old team that said no. It's also the new guy in town making his debut. So what are you doing here with this spot? Because Halliburton, I think, is going to be good in this offense. And they have been a team that, you're not really rostering a lot of guys from, because now they're more expensive, but Halliburton's priced the same, and so much usage is going to go his way, where I think maybe we get off some of these Pacers. And then I think playing a Karis LeVert and a Halliburton run back is a really great option today on this slate, Hoop. So what are you doing with this game? This is definitely one that I have some interest in. How about you?
Yeah, I don't think these pieces are going to be all that highly owned. Like Karis LeVert, I don't think is going to have massive ownership. I mean, 8.6K. In his first game with the Cavs, only played 28 minutes. So I think, and got 17 fantasy points. So I think we see lower ownership actually on LeVert, and it's a good spot. Played 28 minutes in that first game. He's going to be in the 30s here today. Definitely like him. I think Mobley's price tag is somewhat appealing. 6.7K on DraftKings. Finally had a good game after a few down games, got 41 fantasy points in 33 minutes. I think he's solid at 6.7. But the Pacers side kind of, for me, depends on what happens with Brogdon. Like if Brogdon is out, currently listed as questionable, I'd be fine going to Halliburton, even Duarte. But if Brogdon's in, I'd probably not play Halliburton and Duarte. Brissett and Goga, though, however, I think are in play regardless. They're going to have to play. Brissett played 29 minutes last game. Goga played 30. They need bigs right now. So both those guys, I think, are in play regardless. 3.7 for Brissett, 4-7 for Goga, both solid options. But in terms of the guards on the Pacers side, need to see if Brogdon is going to play tonight first.
Yep, the Brogdon news definitely matters. I'm assuming he doesn't play, but maybe they want to debut those two guys together because Halliburton, I think, would be great next to Brogdon. I think they're a good match together. Before we kind of go over and talk to JT about this next game, I do want to mention, head on over to Underdog. You can use that promo code RunPure, get you $100 off that first deposit bonus. So be sure to get in on that. There's tons of stuff over there. There's tons of like free bets they're just basically giving out because they want you to go sign up. So what are you doing? Head on over to Underdog now, download the app. If you don't want to do it right now, do it later tonight while you're watching some of the other shows and some of the other great content. And definitely want to check all that out. Also, if you're watching the Super Bowl, you want to get some winners too, bets wise, and let's say you use that new code that we got, you get the bet side as well. And then maybe add that Keg Live add-on package too as well, because Keg, he's crushing it. And you got MMA this weekend, you got NASCAR coming up, you got the Super Bowl, which will be live betting that as well with you guys hanging out. So be sure to check all that out. It's definitely going to be an awesome time. Let me head on over to JT Hayes. And JT, I know Glock is in the chat giving out the Halliburton charts and what his thoughts are on this situation. So I got to get your thoughts though on this one. What are you doing here with Halliburton, and what are your thoughts on the first blood revenge game for Karis LeVert not too long after the trade?
LeVert hasn't looked all that motivated all season long. It's been a very odd thing. I can understand why you wouldn't be motivated playing for Rick Carlisle, a tough situation there. But I have interest in the Cavaliers. I have interest in, I think Evan Mobley is too cheap here. Jared Allen is priced nicely at 7.9K. I generally don't have a lot of interest in teams that are playing the Cavaliers. Cavaliers play very good defensively. Garland is out, so you've got maybe a little bit of an opportunity there at the point guard position, but I just don't think that I'm going to be prioritizing these Indiana guards, especially if Brogdon is in, over guys like LaMelo Ball or some of the other guys that we'll talk about in games that are later with much higher totals. This has been a good matchup. As big as the Cavs are, it's still been a good matchup for opposing big men. That rotation under the basket there for the Pacers is going to be very interesting to watch now that you have Brissett back, Goga, Isaiah Jackson looks like he is going to play this evening. So I think Goga is probably the guy that I would look at most here from the Pacers side.
Oop, let me get one more take from you from the Pacers, because I'm very curious. You and I feel like we've liked rostering Buddy Hield a little bit, but we understood like Luke Walton was a problem, just the Kings hated him, but it's a new change of scenery. Do you think there's a chance, Hoop, that Buddy Hield starts? And if he does, is this the time maybe to get on him? Like, we talk about this all the time. You got to know when to get on players and get off players. And this might be the time to get on one of these guys, and the price maybe gets up to 7K. If you put Buddy Hield in a starting role in this offense where not a lot of defense is played and these guys just have high totals, I think Buddy Hield could be someone to jump on early when people don't understand it. Maybe I think we need the starting lineup. And the good thing is we will get that ahead of time. But what are some of your thoughts on that one, Hoop?
Yeah, I think definitely an interesting play. Glad you brought that up. I mean, we've got a low price tag on him, 5.1K. Like, they're not going to just bury him on the bench. Like, he's going to get playing time. He's going to get shots in this offense. Like, he wasn't part of that trade just to, sit on the bench and not play. So I think that is actually pretty interesting. I don't think many people will be on him. They're going to want the wait and see approach. Did you go to the thrift store and just pick up a bunch of hats or something? I'm trying to figure this out.
What are you talking about? I got my normal hat on.
But yeah, I'm fine with Buddy in tournaments. Like I said, I don't think many people will play him. They're going to take the wait and see approach. He's going to get options. He's going to get looks though in this offense. He's going to get an opportunity. So I don't hate that call.
Yeah, JT, do you have any thoughts on that? The Buddy Hield situation? I do think he could be someone to jump on. What's your final thoughts on that? And then we can move on over to the next one.
At 5-1, if he starts, just because there isn't a lot of value on the slate, I would say I'd have a little bit of interest. Again, I just hate the matchups against the Cavs for opposing teams. It's not been – the Cavs play good defense. It hasn't been a spot this season to really attack, and we have other pretty good spots. The Spurs are on the slate. The Spurs, I mean, they're not going to defend anyone. You've got a 240 total on the slate. You've got some, potential injury impacts in Philadelphia. So I just think there may be other spots than taking a chance on a Rick Carlisle rotation with two new bodies that he hasn't coached before. But definitely need starters. If they're in starting, I expect Halliburton will start. if Buddy's in starting, then it makes it a little bit more of a decision for me.
Yeah, and I love the go-go call by you. He definitely is a guy that I think they're starting to unleash a little bit more. You could see them by the end of the year just kind of close out with him and not really care about what Miles Turner's doing and just kind of shut him down at some point. So definitely think this is a game to like, but we got to move on to the next one. 30 minutes between these games. Before we do that, though, JT, let's give the look. Let's jump in the chat and see. Likes 183, 377 watching. How are we doing? Do we need to cut some rules to make sure these get here? Because we want to get the plays of the day there, and we're not going to pick the number yet, but we want the people to really push this one home today, JT.
Yeah, I mean, we gave until 510. That was a minute ago to get up to 200. That didn't happen. So let's just keep pumping them up, and about maybe 5:15, a little bit after that, we'll ask Hoop to make an executive decision about what the number should be at, because I really want to give the plays out. It's a slate where I think the plays could be helpful. Chris Paul, low owned last night. If the people had him, they would have been very pleased.
Not just that, the word leverage. Everyone loves a good leverage play. And there was some leverage off Devin Booker, who was hanging out with that snowflake. But let's move on over to the next one. Let's talk about the Spurs and the Hawks. And Hoop, we'll go over to you because DeJounte Murray, we've talked about him all year. We've said this is his offense. And man, no Derek White now. It really is his offense. I mean, there is no one else there. Feels like one of the best studs maybe to pay for tonight. And he gets the Hawks, where the Hawks, they were playing some bad defense. They're starting to play a little bit better, but no one is scared of Trae Young defense, especially when you are the guy that runs the show. What are you doing here with this spot, Hoop, with the Murray going up against Trae Young here tonight?
Yeah, a really good spot, obviously, for DeJounte Murray. Derek White now gone. All the ball handling responsibilities with DeJounte Murray. I mean, most of it was, but now there's no question about it. Like, he's the guy that's going to have the ball in his hands, every time they have the ball in offense. So love Murray, love the price tag at 10-3. After him, though, I think there are some guys to consider, like Vassell should slide into the starting lineup, 4K. He's capable of knocking down a ton of threes. I like Lonnie Walker a little bit. Primo looked good when he got minutes. So like all those guys as values, Vassell would definitely be my favorite, though. Assuming he starts, I mean, he's only 4K on DK. Solid play there. And then, if you are going to play Murray, I like running it back with Trae Young here. 9.9K, fair price tag, big total here. They're projected to score 121. Like Young, Kevin Huerter's getting back to playing solid minutes. You look at 33 and 31 in the last 2 games. Fair price on him, only 4.2K. Like, if he gets in the mid-20s, you'll take that. So have interest in Huerter. And then the last guy would be John Collins at 6'6". Seems like a light price tag for him. 6'6" in this spot against the Spurs. I think he can have a big game. Should play 32, 33 minutes. The price tag is pretty cheap at 6'6". So I think we have some plays here, a lot of plays. 233.5 total. That's a big number. I think you want some exposure here on only a 7-game slate.
It's only a 7-game slate. And when it's only a 7-gamer and the value isn't too apparent yet, of course we might get some later on. What do you think of a Kevin Huerter? Sometimes he's someone that I like to play. He's only 4.2K and he starts, the minutes are strong. Are these one of these slates where, of course, we get some Sixers news that could change some stuff, but what's your thoughts on a Kevin Huerter or DeAndre Hunter? Those cheap guys could be options that don't pop as much as values today, since we've had all these CJ Ellabys and all these really just cheap options to go to. What's your thoughts on some of those more fringe options here against this Spurs team that's not that great defensively?
Yeah, I'm definitely in on Huerter. I mean, you're looking at 30. He's played over 30 minutes the last 2 games. 13 shots, 9 shots in those games. That's solid. 4.2. Like I said, if he gets in the mid-20s, you're good with that at 4.2K, especially on a slate like tonight where I don't think we have a ton of value. And then Huerter, you can kind of throw, or Hunter, you can kind of throw in the same exact category, 4.5K. To me, one of those 2 guys is going to have a solid game and pay off their price tag. So I have interest in both Huerter and Hunter as well.
Yeah, for sure. JT, we'll go over to you next. Got a couple of questions for you. First of all, what are you doing with this Hawks team and DeJounte Murray as a run back? I think there are options that you can take a chance on here. I'm curious to get your take on some of those cheap guys like Hunter, Huerter. I think they're good options. I know the bigs are a little tougher to call because they're mixing and matching them more. And then those Spurs cheapies as well. And also another question for you. Hoop just keeps changing his hats every single time. What's going on here with that, JT?
I'm not sure. I think he's trying to get through the alphabet there. He's at P, so I think we got about 4 or 5
just
left.
A few more to go.
Yeah. It's very entertaining. It's very entertaining. But as far as the Spurs and the Hawks, the Spurs play like absolutely no defense. I think to them playing defense is offensive. Quite frankly, it's as offensive as Steve Anthony saying that if the asking for likes was a drinking game, he'd be in a coma. Steve, you gotta go ahead, get a tutorial, figure out how YouTube works. We need your help, man.
JT, it's a Friday. Imagine not having a drink on hand for this show. Right?
Yeah, it's happy hour, goddammit. It's 5:16. We only have 219 likes. I'm sick that we only have 219 likes. We've got to get to at least 300 now, and we're going to give out some good plays. The Spurs play absolutely no defense. I really like Trae Young here. I'm pretty sure he's going to be low owned. He projects to be low owned. You can go to one or two of these guys just because the Spurs have been so bad, particularly against guards. DeAndre Hunter, it gets a little crowded down there at the forward position with Hunter, with Gallo. Now you've got Collins and Capella. Every one of those guys, you never know who's going to get the 30-minute game. The one thing I will say about Clint Capella down all the way at 5.3K is on DraftKings, the Spurs have been very, very bad against opposing centers. And last season, there was a game where he played only 21 minutes and he put up 35 DraftKings points. So at 5.3 in multi-entry, I think I'm going to have a little bit of Clint Capella. And then on the Spurs side, DeJounte's a great play. 10-3, a little bit more expensive than you like him to be, but he has that 65, 70-point upside. And Hoop was talking about Devin Vassell. I really like him tonight. 4K. I think he's one of the best value options on this slate because where the Hawks tend to get beat is at the guard position. So I like him a lot.
All right, let's head on over to the next game. Before we go, keep getting those likes if you guys are doing great. We got to do it for Beanair, right? He loves hearing us say that in the chat. But we got to go on to the next game, which this is definitely a good one to talk about. We got the Denver Nuggets. We got the Boston Celtics. They are going to be in this one. And Jokic is 12.4K. The problem with Jokic today is he's a hefty tag. And when you are at the 12.4K price tag, that means you need value on the slate. And I just don't see a lot of great value plays today. That's one of my concerns here on this slate. You can make an argument that a Will Barton could easily get the job done at 6'4", but I just don't see myself going to too many Nuggets unless it's Jokic, but I need to find some value on this slate. That is one of the keys. And then the Boston Celtics, they're also one of the best defensive teams in the league, so you could make an argument right now. Why play anyone in this game? Hoop, I think we've done a good job of talking about the Celtics and how they are a team that you don't really want to target right now. So what are you doing here with this Nuggets and Celtics game?
Yeah, it's just not a friendly game for, fantasy purposes. Yes, you can play Nikola Jokic on every slate. Maybe we get value. Like maybe we get a lot of value that breaks. Someone big gets ruled out and there's a bunch of cheap guys and then you come play Jokic. Like I'd be fine with that. But as it stands now, I don't know if I can get to Jokic, which I'm fine with because this is one of the more difficult spots. Boston's been playing solid defense. They've been playing solid basketball all around. So I'm fine with it if I can't get to Jokic. And then on the Boston side, we just haven't been playing these guys. I know they're waiting on a couple pieces from the trade that they won't have. So a thinner rotation tonight. I don't know. Like there's not a price really that stands out to me. Nothing looks all that appealing. Like this is the one game where I'm like, okay, if I don't end up on it, I'm fine with that. And I don't know, just not a great DFS game. So I'll most likely be fading this one unless, like I said, tons of value breaks and I can get to Jokic with ease.
Yeah, definitely does not feel like the greatest game right now, but Jokic sounds like a great play. I mean, I would love to play him, but I just worry about the value. Like I said, JT, that is the biggest concern on this slate. I mean, news is going to be important. If we can get some type of news to go our way, that would be really big. And we don't know if Derek White or Daniel Tice are going to play. Like, what if those guys play and muddy up the situation? What if it's just totally different and it's hard to predict? That's why we got our boy Glock to provide those charts and that info in the chat, JT. So what is your thoughts here on this Nuggets and Celtics game?
Yeah, not a ton of interest here. Marcus Smart has been playing pretty good basketball, and the Nuggets have been giving up a ton of points to opposing point guards. So Smart at 5'4" here, I think he can pay off that tag again, considering what value plays we have or don't have on this slate. I mean, he's not, I don't think, going to get you, into that super high ceiling range of 45, 50 fantasy points, but I think he can get you to 7X here at his price on DraftKings. So I don't mind him. Other than that, I just think if you're playing value, there's a lot of steam on some sites and optos behind Bones Highland, and I think he could be okay just because he might get a ton of minutes, but I'm not super excited about playing him. So if I do have exposure, it won't be a whole lot.
All right, JT. Let's go on over to the next game. Before we do that, though, let's go over to Hoop. Hoop, so we got 2 games left to talk about. It's been a bit of a quick slate. It's a 7-gamer on a Friday, but this next game is one I think we're going to chat about for a while. It's one of the bigger games in the slate. There's tons of news. So let's get the likes first, Hoop. What's our thoughts here? How many likes do we got to get to be able to give out those plays a day? We're 426 watching and we're 240 likes.
I mean, the ratio is pretty solid. I mean, people JTS and people respond, and it just makes me wonder if that's in all aspects of life and not just these YouTube shows. I mean, because it's impressive. I mean, we got to work the other days, man. Going, I mean, we're here 4 days a week together. The other days we got to work a little bit. Today, it just on Fridays it just happens like naturally. It just the people see JT. I'm like, damn, I got to like this video. So, I mean, if you somehow get us to 300, I'll do the same thing we did last week where maybe I give away 2 plays. I mean, the ratio though right now is solid. So get us to 3 and, even better things will happen. I'll dig up a couple solid plays.
All right, JT, what's your thoughts? 300, are you giving up extra plays? You making it higher? What's your thoughts here, JT, before we move on?
I mean, 300 was the baseline. So let's see if we get to 300. Then we'll set, a secondary goal, at least for me. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. Hoop will give out 2 at 300. You'll give out the sweet Travis play of the day, which we love to see and get. Again, Chris Paul last night, low owned. Everybody went to the 2 stud model, which I liked myself. Chris Paul, you had him, boom, you were taking down a ton of money. So I like that as well. And then listen, I mean, Hoop, it's a great point. Normally we get to the likes pretty easily. This show, Saturday, the Off the Chalk show, the likes have been up. The people are just, they energize me, and I usually get what I want. And Sean Hunter has a question. He's bald as well. That is fantastic. You're blessed like me with just a perfectly shaped skull, and you feel comfortable shaving it all off and going bald, no problem. He wants to know shampoo or soap on the head when you're in the shower. It's a great question because you use shampoo when you have the hair, and then you don't have hair. And it's like, well, do I save? Do I not buy the shampoo? Should I still use it? Does it give my scalp any benefits? The answer is absolutely not. You're done with shampoo. You're saving there. You're saving at the barbershop. Dove for men. Go ahead and get yourself some Dove for men. I like the blue bars. They smell nice. They give you a nice scent. Are
you a bar guy? Are you a bar guy? Are you a bar guy, like a bar soap guy? Because I know a lot of people have switched over to like body wash, and I'm still
in the body wash,
I'm still a bar guy.
When I have a gym bag, I'll go ahead and I'll use the body wash if I have to shower.
Same exact thing. I mean, we're on board. I mean, we're together on that.
Exactly. And then the bar soap, even when I travel, I take a bar of the soap with me because that's key too, Sean. When you've got a bald head, there's a lot of epidermis up there. There's a lot of skin, and you don't want to be using that shitty hotel soap. Get your bar soap, go get the Dove for Men, travel with it. It's going to be a life-changing experience. Just for that, we should get to 300 likes. I'm giving out beauty tips, skin tips. It's fantastic. If you haven't already, get in the Discord. Thank Glaucoma for everything he fucking does.
Yeah, like we were literally locked arm in arm in the showering stuff because I use a bar of soap. Most people have gone to the body wash, but in my gym bag I have the blue I think it's Dove for Men, actually, the blue bottle. It's like a turquoise type gel for the shop, right? Yeah. It's I love it.
Doesn't it smell great? I mean, I walk out of that place, and if there's a woman within 6,000 yards, I gotta run for it.
Trouble. Yeah, it's trouble for sure. It's a great smell for sure.
Listen, I mean, if we got to save some water at Big T's next month, we know who can shower together. We got the compatibility.
Hey, we can use the same supplies. We'll lather each other's back. We won't have we'll make sure we get that hard to reach middle back area.
Played sports my whole life. It's no big deal. Would be happy to share the shower.
Move on over to the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls, which Hoop, this game starts today, and we should get updates at 6:30 Eastern. I'm assuming that'll happen. My question to you is, are you prioritizing this spot to backload? Because I will go through the injury report tonight. It's Taurean Prince, questionable. Anthony Edwards, questionable. Nas Reed, questionable. D'Angelo Russell, questionable. Josh Okogie, questionable. Patrick Beverly, questionable. And then JT, Ayo Dosunmu. Is that how you say it, JT?
Ayo.
Well, he is questionable as well, and that's big news. We need to know what's going to happen there in that spot. So This is kind of the game of the night, in my opinion. It's a 241 total. I think it's worth kind of waiting on the news to figure out what to do. Now, if all those guys play, could it be a little frustrating? Sure, but I still think you can get away with it. I still think there's options that you can go to. And I still think the game later on, you can play that game and be okay because Jazz have some opportunity there. Yes, it's a big spread, but there aren't like early games you're just like itching to play besides maybe like that Indiana Cleveland spot. It's just not the greatest slate, Hoop. That's why. So, Hoop, what is your thoughts here on this game? How are you handling the Timberwolves game?
Yeah, I mean, from the Timberwolves side, I mean, we kind of need the news, like you said. I mean, they have half their team listed as questionable, and really the key pieces are, Patrick Beverley, D'Angelo Russell, and Edwards. Like, we need to know if those guys are in or out. Now, they're playing solid basketball, so I kind of lean that most of these guys do end up playing. D'Angelo Russell, I believe, was listed as questionable last game. Played 36 minutes and played quite well at 55 fantasy points. This game has a 241 total. You're gonna, on a small slate, only 7-game slate, you're gonna want some exposure to this spot. Think you can play Karl Anthony Towns regardless. 9.8K hasn't had a big game recently, but I kind of think we could get one here out of him. 9.8K. Russell's a guy I typically don't play, but at 7.4, 240 total, close spread, I could definitely get behind him. Patrick Beverley, 5.1K. He's just a solid guy, like just solid for fantasy purposes. He's going to bust his ass out there. He'll pick up the random rebounds, steals, blocks, assists. He kind of does it all. 5.1K. This is a spot where he'll be on the court a lot too. So definitely have interest in him as well. And then on the Bulls side, a little bit more difficult because of the price tags. Like, you can't go really overboard. Levine, DeRozan, Vooch, like they're all over 9K on DraftKings. So it's hard to get a ton of exposure, but definitely want some. And then the other guy that I think stands out as well, Javonte Green. We've seen a couple down games from him, but he's been solid for the most part. 4.6K. If Io is out, I think he gets a little boost. Then the last guy would potentially be Kobe White if Io's out. He played 38 minutes last game. Get a lot of run here if he's out. So there's a lot to like here. Kind of need to wait on the news to really lock in, but I want some exposure here regardless of how this injury stuff breaks.
Yeah, definitely going to be important stuff. Hoop, we also got some news. Malcolm Brogdon out. Isaiah Jackson will play. Terry Taylor, he is out because of an illness, and Jalen Smith is available for the Pacers. So Hoop, before we go over to JT about this next game, what are your thoughts here on some of that injury news that just kind of piled in?
Yeah, it kind of, I guess, maybe flips my initial thought on this game where I was like, okay, I like the bigs a little bit. Now it looks like they're going to have a decent amount with Isaiah Jackson in and then Jalen Smith available too. So that kind of muddies up the front court. But Brogdon out, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, like, man, I want to see this. I'm really curious to see the starting lineup for this game. And this is a 7 p.m. Eastern game, so we should get it. But I want to see who starts here. And Buddy at 5'1", if he starts, might be a pretty appealing option.
Oh, yeah. He's no doubt going to be an appealing option here. I like the Buddy call, so I definitely want to get that starting lineup. JT, what's your thoughts on some of that news that piled in? And then really talk to me about this game here, JT, because this is an important one. It's one of the best games on the slate. So what are you doing here with the Timberwolves and the Bulls and all this news?
Yeah, one of the highest totals that you're going to see, and you have to like the point guards for Minnesota here, the shooting guard, the point guard. Russell, Beverly with Lonzo out. This has just been a fantastic matchup for opposing guards against the Bulls. Their defense as a whole has struggled here. It's just these rotations we saw in their games against the Kings just a couple of days ago. They'll go 10, 11 deep. You've got Taurean Prince in there. Beasley will get some runs. So I think I'll probably limit my interest here to Towns, Russell, and Beverly on the Minnesota side. And then we do need that news. That Io news is big because Io a little bit better defender and also a pretty good offensive player. But on the Bulls, it's the big three. You've got Vucevic, who everybody likes to pronounce somewhat of a different way for some reason, whatever, and DeMar DeRozan, and then Zach LaVine. Never forget, the Wolves gave up on Zach LaVine. He's never forgotten about it himself. So that's an interesting little revenge narrative for the people like El Laminador, who doesn't even talk about revenge narratives anymore. So don't give him any love in Discord. Save it all for Glock. And then Degas says that Dove is a supermarket special, which is disappointing because I find that blasphemous. Dove is the Whole Foods of soaps. Sad.
Yeah, I love the revenge call that you had with LaVine, because I do think LaVine is an interesting spend up option. Hoop, what's your thoughts on like the LaVine spend up? I think this game is such a good game that like if I just backload it up, it doesn't work out, I can still find ways for it to get there. So what do you think of like a LaVine as a stud, or even like a Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan as well?
Yeah, I mean, I want exposure to the Bulls, and like I said, it's hard to play multiple of these guys. So like I definitely want some LaVine. I definitely want some DeRozan. If I was going to cut one out, I think it might be Vucevic, but man, I do kind of like him too, especially because he's going to have to play a lot with Towns out there. So yeah, I mean, I want to play all these guys, but not necessarily together. And then if Io's out, boost to those guys, and then Kobe White comes in conversation a little bit more.
All right, Hoop, let me go right back to you, actually. Milton and Maxey available. So what is that doing for you here in this spot? Like, I think these guys are just not really going to get on my radar today, and it makes me want to backload a little bit more. And I'm not trying to backload just until like the end of the slate and I got nothing left to play, but man, like I don't really want to play these guys in this spot now. I'm not excited about the Sixers against the Thunder.
Yeah, you're just not going to force it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, if you like Embiid, like play Embiid, but man, these other guys, I just don't see the need to really play them. I mean, now for me, it's just Embiid. He's 11.9K, not a must play, but like he's probably the only one on the Sixer side that I'd play.
All right, before we go over and get JT's thoughts on some of this Sixer news, I do want to talk about the members that never win. People always make that joke here at Run Pure Sports, but the members definitely are crushing it. We got Russell D07, 10K in the EPL street. So congrats to you, Russell. That's a nice little hit. Sick with it, $5,700 in NBA. Yuri Thomas at 35K in NBA, and D Freshness, 44K in NBA. So congrats to those guys on hitting that. That's absolutely awesome. JT, before we kind of dive into this last game, I want to get your Tyrese Maxey thoughts with the news. Are you going to maybe play some Sixers, or are you staying away from them? And also, we're at 284 likes, 445 watching. So tell the people the numbers they got to get to so we can figure this all out here, JT.
Yeah. Well, we said 300. We got to get to 300 for your plays of the day. And then if we get to 330, we'll add in a little bonus. Hoop is going to give his bonus at 300, I believe. I'll give my bonus at 330. Sweet Travis, you have to decide at what number you want to give your bonus out at. And as far as Maxey and Milton not really interested in this game anymore. I do like the price drop on Embiid to 11.9. This is a fantastic matchup. I don't think anybody, Derek Favors, Roby, anyone that the Thunder are going to throw at him are going to stop him. And now you've got those point guards in that are going to feed him the ball. So I think Embiid is okay, but definitely less of a priority now.
Yep, definitely less of a priority, but we got one more game to talk about here, and we're getting those likes up, so you love to see it. You love to see Glaucoma in the chat, dropping charts as well. So Glock, keep up the great work. Let's move on over to the last game. We got the Magic. We got the Utah Jazz, 223 total, 14 spread. And Donovan Mitchell was 8.4K, and now he's only 8.8K, and he's been great. 43 fantasy points, 43.5 and 58.75 in his last 3 games. Yes, the Magic are a team that they should destroy and beat pretty bad, but the Jazz, they keep their guys in. I mean, the Warriors were pulling their guys out. The Jazz, they were pulling their guys in last game. So I don't worry that much about it. And on a slate where sometimes you get a little worried about the plays that you have, it's nice to have those secure minutes. So Hoop, let's go over to you first. We got the Utah Jazz and the Magic, which are 2 teams that I'm not typically excited to roster, but I think it's in play here to get some exposure to these guys, mainly because of the other games in the slate just aren't great games. So what's your thoughts here on this spot between these 2 teams?
Yeah, I mean, Utah's a team, when they're at full strength, we typically don't go to for fantasy purposes, and it sounds like they might be at full strength plus their trade pickups, like Alexander Walker as well. So I don't know, there is, I think, definitely some risk here in the Utah Jazz. Now, it is only a 7-game slate, some spots that we don't love, so you might have to come here a little bit. I'm going to try to avoid the spot, the Jazz spot, especially if Gobert's in. On the Orlando Magic side, I mean, it is tough the Magic traveling to Utah, not a ton of interest. The only guy I would consider would be maybe like Wendell Carter Jr. at 6.8K, coming off a pretty solid game. But overall, I mean, this would just be a last resort type game where, okay, nothing else. Or if you're kind of backload a little bit, the news doesn't work and you have to play some of these guys, that's fine. But no one here is going to be a priority for me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I agree. I'm like, I like this game, but I think that I'm with you. Like, if the backload doesn't work, I can get exposure to some of these guys. And the Rudy Gobert news is important. Like, he is questionable. If he does not play, that could definitely be interesting. JT, you're out here changing lives in the chat. I mean, you're changing the youth of America. It sounds like we're going to get some kids using some Dove soap. So, JT, thank you for your service on that. And also, we got to get your thoughts on this game. I don't know if the people know here, but you know the parents of all the NBA players. That's your job here at Run Pure Sports. So, you have some insight, I'm sure, on this game that others do not. What's your thoughts here on the Jazz and the Magic?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest. I'll note that Wendell Carter Jr. has seemed to own Rudy Gobert. Gobert is questionable. Wendell Carter Jr. some big games, but at 6'8", I just don't think he's a priority. And Hoop said it perfectly. This Utah team, when they're fully healthy, close to full health, I know that Rudy Gay is out, but it's just not a spot to target. I do think there are other better spots here on this slate. So unfortunately, it doesn't make for much of a late night hammer.
All right, well, no late night hammer for JT Hayes. It's 5:37, so we got a little bit of time here. They're at 301 likes, so the people got it there. JT, I know Hoop said, Hoop, were you giving out a second play if we get the 300? All right, Hoop shaking his head yes.
Yep, so get the combo pack, yep.
So we got a Hoop combo pack, which you love to see. JT, let's see. We obviously can we'll do a quick promo before we kind of go to the plays of the day. But what number do we need to get yours to get 2 plays out of you?
Yeah, so 330 for mine. We got to figure out what number to get for yours. And then why don't we do this? Since we have a few minutes, they're already at 300. It's fantastic. It's great. Steve Anthony has passed out somewhere, hurting from alcohol poisoning at this point because he's playing the drinking game. D-Gas, your son is going to thank me. So just make sure when you get it for him, don't take all the fucking credit. Let him know this was a suggestion and it works out well. It really is. It's going to make him so much happier. Everything's going to be much better. Guys, don't forget to tell glaucoma. Thank you for everything you fucking do. And then let's just touch on, because we got a bunch of news. Some of the value that we thought we might have is now gone. Where are you guys looking for value here on this slate? Because there's not a lot of it and it's changed since we started this show. So, I mean, Hoop and Sweet Travis, what do you guys think in terms of value? Because we need that to get LaMelo or some of these Bulls and some of these Timberwolves into our lineups.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really. Go ahead, man. Go.
No, yeah. So this is what I'll start with, JT or Hoop. I was gonna. This kind of segues into something that you like to do, which I thought was pretty good. One, I want to target some of the Spurs, right? Because it's a new situation. And when they trade guys out, those are spots to capitalize on. So Vassal's obviously one of them, I think is a good one. I like the Kevin Huerter one a lot. That's definitely a guy I'm going to be on for sure. If Patrick Beverley happens to play, obviously that's news that we don't have. So we're kind of trying to figure it out. But Hoop, like, what about full punting spots? Like, that's something that I think you are pretty good at doing in some sports. Like, are there any full-on punts that you see that you can get to? And then what were you going to say about some of the value plays that are out there?
I was going right to that game with those same guys, like Vassell and Huerter, Hunter, Lonnie Walker. The full punt, I think, potentially Josh Primo. Listen, the guy could get like 8 fantasy points, but he's 3.2K. He's going to have to play. And you look at it, 26, 21, 22 minutes. So he's already playing. Could potentially play more. So really, for me, it's that game. Like, that's where the value is. Is it comfortable guaranteed value? Fuck no. But, like, does it get you the studs on the slate? Yeah. So, just, adding on to your point a little bit, I always think it's worth it to take the shot on some cheap guys if you're able to get more of the studs. That's the game kind of that we have to rely on. Now, we could get the Minnesota situation where they have a bunch of guys ruled out, and then that's the value we want to go to. 30-minute difference in between games. So we should have all the news at that point to make those decisions.
Well, we did just get some news, and of course, it's an unknown, Hoop. Montrezl Harrell is available to make his Hornets debut. I assume it's off the bench. I do not see him starting. He never has. He's just that second unit role is what fits him pretty well. So do you think he is a guy that you can go to? I don't even know his price. I'm about to pull it up now and see where he's at today. He is at or is he not even available in the pool? Is that the case?
I don't think he's available. Yeah, I don't think he's even in there.
Well, he's not available on DK. He might be on FanDuel. There is a chance he's available over there because I know the other day Sabonis wasn't available and then Harrell was.
Yeah, he's 4.8 on FanDuel.
All right, what's your thoughts on that, Hoop? Because we always don't touch on FanDuel as much. Do you have any thoughts on some FanDuel values and any thoughts on what's going to happen here with Harrell?
It's still just it's still a price tag. Like he's got to do something at 4.8, and I just can't imagine them playing him enough minutes where he can pay it off. So it'd probably be off him. I mean, from that game, like, okay, you got Harrell at 4.8. Like Jeremy Grant's 5.2. Like if you're at the power forward position, just play Jeremy Grant. I mean, that's just a crazy cheap price tag. Looking at a lot of the same guys on FanDuel, Primo, who had mentioned, he's only 3.5K on FanDuel. You probably don't need the full punts on FanDuel, but 3.5K for Primo, I think is fine. So yeah, there's just really overall not a ton of value on the slate. And the Dove soap is amazing. Second endorsement, two full endorsements for the Dove soap on the show.
I'm gonna have to grab some Dove soap. I'm in the market for some. I will say I need
solid.
One, so.
Hey, and here's a little trick, JT. I don't know if you do this, but I just started doing this maybe like the last 6 months. Okay, so when my bar starts running low, I get a new bar. I use the new bar. I take the old bar that's still, the little thin. You get the little thin bar. I get them both wet, compress them together, so you're never losing out on that thin strip of soap. Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, I unintentionally, but yes, because the old one will be sitting there. I'll grab the new one because I need more of it. And then they kind of just meld together.
Yes.
And the reason why, Hoop, tell the people you don't want to waste this. It is
great product. I mean, you don't want to. So it used to tilt me because I'd take that little tiny sliver that's left and I'd just toss it back in the package and throw it out. It's like, man, I can't waste this shit. So I'll get them both wet after when you open up the new bar the first time. When you're done, with the shower, get them both wet. And kind of just merge them together, let it sit there, and then they stick together, and you got two brand new bars of soap. It's great.
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yes.
All right, now let's see where the likes are at. We'll see where we're at on these. We're at 314. You need the 325 for JT to give out too. We'll let him go last. You need 350 for me. So I'm going to make sure to go second though. So you got to push that home real quick right now. But we are going to give you guys the winners here. We're going to give you guys the plays of the day. Hoop has the rich parents play of the day. Hoop, who do you got here? Let me know your two plays of the day.
Taking on a little more risk today. It's a slate where we have some spends, but the real moneymaker on the slate is going to be to find the cheap guys, because we don't have a lot of cheap guys. As it stands now, I'm going to go to a combo pack in the same game, and we talked about it a lot. It might not be much of a surprise, but it's going to be Primo at 3.2K on DraftKings, and then Kevin Huerter as well at 4.2K. So it's going to be Primo and Huerter. Huerter's a little bit safer. Primo, I think, more of a deep tournament play. But as it stands, we don't have the full punts. Primo provides the full punt and the ability to get to the stars tonight. So Primo, Huerter, rich parents play of the day.
Yeah, I like the Huerter one. That was one I was going to go with. So now you got me stumped a little bit. Let's see where the likes are out there at 323. JT, I got faith they're going to push it home. I really do. I got the faith it's going to happen. I'm going to go to you for the Eiffel Tower play of the day, and we'll give the people time to maybe push that to 350 if they're able to get that one home. So, JT, give out the Eiffel Tower play of the day and give the second. They're going to get it home. I guarantee.
All right. So 323, I'll start with the first one. It's tough. As Hoop said, you got to take on these slates a little bit more risk, got to go a little bit more outside the box. And there are going to be some ownership that condenses around certain plays. I can't say Jeremy Grant because a lot of people are going to notice that price is silly and play him. I can't say LaMelo because he's going to be 30% owned. But you've got no Dennis Schroeder. You've got no Josh Richardson. You've got a matchup against the Denver Nuggets, who just bleed points to opposing point guards I'm going to go with Marcus Smart at 5'4". We need some value. I think he's got 40-point upside in this matchup. So it's going to be Marcus Smart for me here. That's probably all I'll touch from that game. And we're at 327. So I'm going to let the honor code go. And I'm going to say that they're going to get to the 330. And now it looks like James Bouknight's going to be available for Charlotte. So a little bit dicier there with some of those guard plays. And I don't want to give out anyone in the Timberwolves game because there's a lot of those guys are questionable. But I'll go back to a guy who I think is going to be motivated by a guard on the other side tonight. It's a game that isn't particularly close. Again, not a perfect situation, but his price has come down. I think he's due for a big game. San Antonio Spurs don't guard anyone, but in particular opposing guards. Trae Young at 9'9". It's got 60, 70-point upside here in this matchup against San Antonio.
All right. I love the call. JT, I got one for you, and I'm going to do kind of what you said you're not going to do, but I am going to go to that Timberwolves game. I'm also going to be in the Discord chat providing as well the play if it changes, but there's a lot of ways you can go with it. And I don't really expect both of these guys to sit. I think one for sure plays. It's between D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. I mean, they're pretty close in price tag. Yes, they have some different positions, but I'm going to be flexible enough to be able to get that done. I think it's D'Angelo Russell. I see him playing tonight. He played the other night, had 55 fantasy points, and Edwards has grinded out all year, and he got hurt, and I think they're going to be a little cautious with him. I like D'Angelo Russell as my play of the day. It's only 7,400. That's too cheap of a price tag. And on these slates where you can't jam into Jokic because the values aren't as great, these mid-tier guys that can get you 40 to 50 fantasy points, that's sometimes way better than getting that 60 fantasy point raw point game. So love D'Angelo Russell. He is going to run the offense and crush it tonight with no ball there to defend him or Caruso. Give me D'Angelo Russell as my play of the day. Hoop, we got the likes up. It was a great show. The good mojo's flowing. We got the cash chart to give out. Give final thoughts in that final promo code for the people because we have a jam-packed weekend. We got MMA this weekend. We got the Super Bowl stuff. We got everything you need to run pure sports. So Hoop, give me your final thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, big weekend. And, only 2 more days to use that promo code SB56. That gets you 56% off your first payment of a monthly package at Run Pure. It could just be DFS, could be DFS and bets, could be DFS, bets, and SaberSim. So it's the cheapest all-in price that we've ever offered. It's only good for 2 more days. We have 2 premium NFL shows that have already been recorded. Our premium playbook is already out. The core plays will be coming out within the next couple of days. The player pools will come out. Big T's entire player pool from the Showdown slate, massive contest on DraftKings. JSU will have his player pool out as well. UFC 271 pay-per-view event title will have his playbook that will be out probably tonight, early tomorrow morning. And then, all our NBA content, NASCAR, Daytona 500s next weekend, huge, I think, milli maker on DraftKings. So good time to get in, cheapest price ever. Come with us, join the movement, top of the leaderboards. That's where the RPS logos are always at.
Yep. Join the movement. Get in the Discord chat. Even AP loves Glock. He said, I am keeping Glock away from my wife because he knows Glock is just one of the nicest guys ever. And he creates
I made the mistake and let my wife get close to Glock. And let me tell you, in Denver, didn't work out so great for Hoop.
Mistakes were made. JT, final thoughts here before we get on out of here.
No, it's a great slate. It's just fantastic, the interaction. We got up, 334 likes, pretty good. Pretty happy with that. People's lives were changed. DGAS going to give that beautiful, beautiful blue bar of soap to her son. He is going to recognize the benefits of that for a lifetime. And she says she won't ever look at a dwindling bar of soap the same way again, nor will any of you. It's going to be a great slate.
All righty.
That sliver can go a long way when you combine it with the new bar. Let me tell you.
I got a couple in the shower now. I'm going to go jam them together before I make lunch.
Just get both wet. You get the sliver wet, you get the new bar wet. It's a game changer.
I'm excited to try it out. I'm definitely going to be doing that. We got to get on out of here though. Thanks a lot for joining us. Check out all the stuff we have at Run Pure Sports. Use that code SB56, 56% off. Be sure to check out the Up to Lock show coming up next. We got JSU, Big T. They're breaking it all down for you guys. So be sure to have a good time with that. We'll see you guys later for me, Mangone, JT, and Hoop. Peace out.